So now I'll be going over how to use the circles and polygons tool. So you'll find this tool in the rectangle submenu, and the circle tool will just be the icon with the circle in it, and you can click that. Left click once, and then you'll be able to draw, and you can change the radius of it by typing in or just by dragging your mouse. So we'll just do like a 500mm radius, and then you have a circle just drawn flat on the ground. The next tool underneath that is a polygon tool. It operates very similarly to the circle tool, but when you click on it, you can actually change the number of sides. So let's say 8 sides for this polygon. And again, you just drag and give your radius, let's say 500. Although the way you draw them is very similar, when you do extrude them though, with the push-pull, you'll see that the circle has smooth sides and the polygon has hard edges. So you can actually alternate a bit between the soft and hard edges. And you can do this by using your select tool, and then if you select one of these hard edges here, right click and then go on soften, and it will actually hide that edge. You'll still faintly be able to see it, but basically it will mean that this plane operates as one plane. You can kind of smooth this edge, and it kind of creates a whole plane selected, as opposed to just kind of individual segments. And you can you can kind of return back to kind of the hard edges if you go in your displays menu and then tick on hidden geometry, and you'll be able to see the lines for the basically the lines that would be there. So you can unsoften these edges again to return back to what it was like before. And the inverse is true for the circle, so you can actually select these hidden lines here, because in reality this circle is just a collection of many different lines. It's just a polygon with loads of sides, because Sketchup can't do fully smooth curves exactly, just a selection of lines. So you can unsoften these and you can create a hard edge with this. So this will be a straight line. These will be straight lines, and you can kind of play around with that, and then again you can unsoften those again by soften them again by right clicking and soften. So another useful tool is to use the follow me tool. So we'll clean up this workspace, and you can draw a circle. Let's draw it in the green axis. Let's see here. And then if you want to, basically the follow me tool lets you draw out a shape along a path. So this is especially useful for things like railings, if you wanted to do pipes, kind of anything which kind of has a 3D shape but along maybe a long path, along a winding path, let's say. So let's do this along an arc. So we'll start by drawing from the center of this shape an arc. Let's say something like this. And so for the follow me tool, we'll find this in the push pull section, and it's just this icon in the middle underneath the push pull. And so first we'll select the shape, so it's just this, and then as you can see it will follow the path that I'm drawing. So you can kind of it will only draw along the path, but you can change the distance it follows along that path. So it'll create this kind of this tubing type shape, again, which is really useful. Let's go and turn the geometry, and there you go, like a smooth kind of tubing. Next, we'll look at the offset tool. So let's just draw, let's say, a circle, and in this toolbar, underneath the push pull at the bottom, there's the offset tool. So basically what this will do is it will inset or offset any line that you've selected. You'll know this by basically if it's highlighted in blue, in or out of the shape, depending on where you drag your mouse. So when you do this, you can set the distance, for example, 100, and it will draw a line inside, or you do 100 outside of this shape. So this is really useful for creating a thickness, or to kind of create, if you have a more complex shape that you want to create an outline for, it will do that quite quickly. And then you can kind of play around with how you extrude the shape. Something like that. So there you go. And then the last of these kind of 3D drawing tools is the 3D text tool. So you'll find this in the circles and rectangles menu. At the bottom, it's just an icon of an A in 3D. And if you click that, you can type in a text. So let's just say hello. You can change the font. There's a variety of different options. And then these are the kind of the size dimensions that you can change. So you can change the height. We'll say like 500. Filled or extrusion. So filled, you'll want to have ticked if you want it to be filled in. So to be a face that you can extrude and to have a plane instead of just the outline. And then the extrusion will just give it a depth. We'll give it a thickness. The letters a thickness. So let's say 200. And as you can see, it will draw that out as a 3D text with the depth, as you can see, is below the letters. So next we'll look at using some of the other measuring tools. So you'll find the most important one of these is the tape measure tool, and this is in the left toolbar above the feet. There's a tape measure, and basically it will let you measure any angle by dragging a line similar to the drawing tool along the distance that you want to measure. So if I wanted to measure, say, the radius of this circle, it will snap to the middle of this circle using inference with this blue dot, and then I'll just drag it to the side, and you can either kind of hold your mouse and it will give you the measurement in a box just underneath, or you can look in the bottom right corner. It will give you that distance as a length. If you actually were to just click down, click again, it will actually draw a guideline. So a guideline is just like a dotted line. It won't actually snap or kind of connect to any of the existing geometries, but it will show up, and it will let you basically create guidelines to help you do your measurements, to help you draw. It's a very useful tool, especially since you can get rid of them quite easily. And to do this, you go in your displays menu, and as you can see, there's a tick box for guides. You can hide those, or you can delete them, delete all guides. So that's a very useful tool. Next, in a similar way, you have your protractor tool, which operates in a similar way of taking measurements, but essentially it will take measurements of the angle. So you can alternate between the planes using the arrow keys, as previously mentioned. And then if you just snap it to a shape, and then just to maybe check that this is a 90-degree angle here, you can click once and then drag, and then click again, and it will kind of give you that angle in the bottom right corner. So knowing how to snap to axes is really useful with this tool, especially because you'll find that without doing so, it might be difficult to try and measure the angle that you do want to measure. Next, we'll look at the labels tools. So this can be found again in the tape measure menu, and you can it's just a box with A1 in it, and you can click on this, and you can basically just label anything in your model space. So if you click on a face, it will basically just create an arrow to that space, to that plane or edge or whatever it is, and then click again, and you can change whatever this label is. So if we just wanted to label this as like a cylinder, we could do that. Make sure when you finish writing that you just click outside of the box to complete it. And you can actually just change, if you wanted to change certain aspects of this, just select it, and then go on the right toolbar on Entity Info, the top icon, and you'll be able to change things like the font, the just the type of it, and things like that. So that's a useful tool to know. And then in a similar way, you can also create dimensions for your model. So you'll see this in just below the tape measure. It's kind of a bar with a 3 in it. And this is a useful way of just taking dimensions. So you'll find that for kind of certain shapes, it will naturally give you a certain dimension. So in this case, it will give you a diameter. But if you had, say, a square, so we'll just draw a square. If you had that, then you could kind of do length dimension or midpoint dimension. So it's a useful way of kind of keeping the information that you want to be shown on screen. And you can change this in the Entity Info again. You can change the font, the type of kind of icon that you're showing, the endpoints. So again, very useful tool for creating these dimensions labels, which will kind of exist in your model space and in any kind of, if you want them to, in any kind of takeaways or pictures that you take from your models.